Hello, students. So we have come to the end of the medieval Europe unit. So I wanted to go over a couple of things to transition into the next unit. So this is in your gallery in the textbook, and we're looking at the Crusades. So the Crusades were a series of campaigns, military campaigns or battles fought between Europeans and Muslims over control of the Holy Land, which we're talking present day Lebanon, Israel. And so the Europeans pretty much lost, but there were some economic and intellectual gains as they learned about new trade routes, new trade goods from Muslims, and also they learned a lot of new technology and a lot of knowledge about preserved writings from Islamic scientists and philosophers. So those were some important gains from the Crusades, and that also led to an increase in trade, um, not just with the Islamic world, but also with Asia. However, along with that came other events soon after, maybe the Crusades lasted for a couple hundred years, 1100s, 1200s. Then in the 1300s, another event was the bubonic plague, which actually arrived from Asia over into Europe, first hitting mostly southern Italy, Sicily here, along the trade routes. So basically, rats that were infected with the plague traveled along these trade routes with the traders. However, the actual carrier was the rat, but the disease was actually in the fleas carried by the rats. But people didn't really know that, and we see here again the disease starts in southern Europe, first in Italy, which was connected to many of the trade routes all throughout the Mediterranean Sea, Turkey here, that's closest to Asia. And from there, the disease continues to spread all throughout Europe, eventually coming all the way to Northern Europe. And there were a few different outbreaks right here in the 1300s, even early 1400s. So that was a major event that really impacted Europe because they lost nearly 40% of the population. So that changed their society a whole lot. Another important event is the growth of the medieval town. So medieval towns were important because these were places where people could start their own businesses and their own trades, their new careers, away from their feudal lords, away from feudal society. So this was an opportunity for people to start their own lives and rule themselves, you could say. So this was a major event. And with that, we see also the growth of universities, people seeking to be more educated. There was an intellectual growth. Another event that took place was the Magna Carta, which was basically an important document, okay, which was a contract between the king and his nobles saying that the king was subject to the law and limited his authority. So we see here a big step toward democracy, and it didn't happen overnight, but eventually the lower classes of Europe would start getting more of their individual rights. And so a lot of changes took place here at the end of the Middle Ages, which will eventually lead into the next era called the Renaissance in Europe. So we're coming to the end of the Middle Ages and just looking at some of the events that led to the end of this era that was filled with warfare, disease, but also a lot of growth in trade, a lot of growth of towns right towards the end, and society changing once again. So thank you.